Sup guys, while I'm slowly dying of boredom waiting for the European release, I thought I'd share some of my thoughts and some of my wishes regarding Bless and how the release is gonna be done. And I wanna hear what you think about this topic also after you've listened to the video, so let me know in the comments below. Most of you know that Bless has been undergoing major changes after the community feedback from Korea, Russia, Japan. Now before this big rebuild that the devs are still working on, the game was out in Korea like just a normal game, and it even had content patches and all the good stuff, right? Then the new content update stopped and this rebuild started because there was no point for them to continue creating any content since they were changing much of how the game works. So these changes needed testing, and of course creating new raids and stuff on a faulty foundation doesn't make sense. Anyway, all good, everything's fine, devs did a great job with the rebuild, etc, etc. What matters now is which Bless are we getting in Europe and North America next year? Obviously it's the rebuild version, yeah, but my point is how much of the game will they manage to redo until the Western release date? Are we gonna get the original 1.0 version with no Mystic and level 45 cap? Are we getting the version with no Mystic but level 50 cap and the first raid? Or are we getting the Mystic included somehow in the 45 cap version? And there's a fourth option as well, the one in which we're getting absolutely everything Bless had in the pre-rebuild version, right? Which obviously is ideal, not gonna happen. Anyway, these are the important questions because they change the player's perception of the game. I've played Bless, I've played every Bless version, and I can say that it's a very different experience depending on what they decide to start with. And a very important fact, two of these possible versions that I just mentioned to you kinda suck, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's because first impressions matter a lot. Like, simple as that, guys. And if there's one game that needs the first impressions to be top notch, it's Bless. Since we all know that this game with a huge potential had one of the shittiest starts in the history of mankind and MMORPGs. And by first impressions, I'm not even talking about how cute the first 3 levels are, or if character creation lets you look like Samwise Gamgee. It's those first days in an MMORPG that are very important, because if they suck, you won't get to endgame no matter what shining stars some random guy on YouTube told you that are at endgame. Included in the first days are class variety, leveling experience, the first few dungeons with a group, not the solo, and the potential of endgame, the things that you hear about endgame, yeah? Having this said, let me tell you which versions of Bless are crappy because they don't really give you what I just mentioned, yeah? The one without the Mystic, very bad, and the one where 45 is the cap and Nigraturis is the only end game. Not so bad as the one without the Mystic, but still bad. Now to explain why. Launching a game in 2018, guys, with 5 classes is sad. And even more so when only one of those 5 classes is the healer. There's no variety, there's no spice, and when something's bland, you don't want to eat it, right? Paladin being the only class that can heal, and at the same time, one of the 2 classes that can tank, is gonna result in half the community being Paladin and the other half playing whatever, who cares, DPS. So it's like, hey, what's our group setup for this 3v3 arena today? Oh, I know, Paladin +2. What about this 5-man dungeon? How are we rolling there? Oh, yeah, Paladin +3. So you see my point? Personally, I have never seen Holy Trinity game, right? The one with healer, tank, DPS, releasing with only one healer type class. Never. Maybe you guys have seen. Please tell me in the comments below. Never in my life. And for good reason, because it sucks to funnel all healers into one class and half the tanks into the same bowl. Not to mention that Mystic is so awesome in general as a class. They did such a great job creating the class. Why not give people access to this awesome thing right at the beginning when first impressions are made, right? Plus, there's always two healers, always, because there's a reason for that, which I won't go into, very long story, boring, etc. But I really hope Bless will have the Mystic at release. I really, really do. The other half boring version that I was mentioning before, where the 45 is the cap, it's boring because there's not much going on at endgame in terms of group content, yeah, where you play with other people, which is the whole point of MMORPGs. Otherwise I would just go play freaking Vindictus. There's one dungeon that gives level 45 gear, which is the end game, and that's it. Not even two dungeons to wash your eyes a little bit, just one. Now, if they decide that we start with 45 as a cap, there's two things that would turn it into an actually really good version. Number one, add the Mystic to it. Number two, add the Patala raid to it. There's a long forgotten level 45-ish raid, or at least it can be a 45 raid, and if that could be added to the patch, to the version of 45 as a cap, then that would mean extra group content, which obviously would make the version pretty cool, yeah? But I'm not sure that they will do either of these things, because Mystic was not a level 45 thing. The class kinda came with level 50, so it needs even more reworking to make it fit into 45 content, yeah, and the Patala 45 raid probably never gonna happen. So in conclusion, I'm afraid that the 45 cap version is gonna remain boring. To be honest, the 45 cap version doesn't bother me so much as the other option where the Mystic isn't in the game, because I could find 2-3 good excuses to back it up, like it's like good time to learn the game until raids and harder dungeons come along, or like it's a good time to farm PvP and get your currency for when 50 cap comes. Whatever. I understand that it takes time to remake every bit of content they had in the original version, and they want to release in Japan, and then they want to release in Europe and North America and so on, very soon next year. So I'd personally be fine, not ecstatic, but just fine with a 45 cap version for the first 3 months after release. Having that said, I would actually be pretty disappointed if Mystic wouldn't be there at launch, yeah, whatever the cap they decide to implement. I feel Mystic is very important in very many ways, yeah. Now, at the end, I want to tell you what I would love to see and what I think would be the best for the players and the game. It goes like this: level 50 cap at release with Mystic in the game, with the 2 level 50 dungeons made harder than they are now, and without any raids. Now, 6 months down the road, bring patch 1.5, add the first raid, Tome of the Warrior King, couple more different 3v3 maps, because the only one map for 3v3 that's there, it kind of gets boring after the 9,000th time, etc, etc. Very simple stuff, yeah. Another 6 months later, which is 1 year after release, bring 2.0 patch, give us the second raid, the War Fortress, add a hard mode version of this raid since the default one is too simple, add 2 more dungeons. I'm thinking by this time Patala can be remade to a level 50 dungeon with a hard mode, etc. Release a 5v5 arena for that OMG factor, and that's it. Easy peasy. Great content updates, and all of it without a ton of work, since most of this is already created, yeah? Everyone's happy, including the fans, people at release, people that join 6 months later, people that like regular patch and content updates, etc, etc, hooray. So, Tell me what you guys think about these things in the comments below. Tell me how you would like to see Bless being released. Would you like to see the Mystic? You don't care about the Mystic. Would you like to see level 45 cap with that one dungeon for endgame, or would you like to see level 50 cap with, you know, a bit more content? Do you want raiding at the beginning or not? I'm very curious to see what you guys think. And yeah, that's about it. Catch you guys next time. Lots of love.